Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well, and welcome to Scum and Villainy, the Star Wars Legion show where we break down one of our guests' favourite commanders or operatives. We take a deep dive look at that character and then build an 800-point list based around it. Stay around till the end of the video, guys, because I'm going to be doing the draw for our Shadow Collective starter set giveaway that we've been running. So make sure you hang around to the end of the video to see that. And speaking of Shadow Collective, let me introduce my guest number 2. Second time that he's appeared on the channel. He's only sponsored me for well over a year, but Ellis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing perfectly well. I'm doing good. Leeds won at the weekend, so I'm even doing even better than that now.
Leeds did win at the weekend, yes, which was always nice to get those first 3 points in the bag. So yeah, Ellis from Elysian War Games, and it's Elysian War Games YouTube channel now that you're running as well, Ellis, isn't it? So
Yeah,
people can catch you on there.
I make a video from time to time when I can upload it.
It's
Oh,
usually
that's right,
either
I do battle reports.
a battle report, a really good update, or a bit of a rant. And
One of the three. Yeah.
but yeah, so Ellis, I sort of maybe gave it away ever so slightly there with the Shadow Collective. But what operative or commander have you brought for us to break down today?
Well, I've cheated, haven't I, Rich? I've cheated. I brought somebody who can be both.
So this is episode number 2, and both Dan from the Outriders and now you have decided that you're going to bring a character that can be both. But I am going to make you choose. So I mean, it's probably obvious for everyone at home. But what character have you picked for us?
I've picked Maul from the Shadow Collective. I have picked Commander Maul because the Darksaber is amazing. Get
Excellent.
into that.
Excellent. I'm glad you picked Commander Moore because he is my favourite to run at the moment. Let's just start off then. Maul is he's fairly costly. He's 170 points without the dark saber, and then you add that dark saber in, and he goes up to 180. So he's knocking on the door of some of those very, very costly Force users out there that we see, the likes of Palpatine and, Luke, Yoda, some of these other guys. Does he stand up to them, 180 points with it when he takes the Darksaber, do you think?
Yes, he's the reason is the cunning. Like that lets him stand up to him. Damage output wise, he's on the same as a Commander Luke. He's a bit worse than a Dooku, better than a Yoda. So yeah, he's around 170 at that point. Is very very good. He fits the role.
Yeah. So he's got an interesting card, hasn't he? Because jump one, and it's sort of a pretty standard thing that we see for most Force users. Now he's not unique in this, but he's obviously part of the Shadow Collective. But he can only be part of the Shadow Collective, can't he? You can't use him as a mercenary and put him into any other list. He's got deflect, immune to pierce, Juyo Mastery, which we'll go into a little bit further on, and then Wound 1, which may seem odd, but again, we'll go into why that actually works in his favour. 2 Force slots, 1 command slot, 1 training slot, and then obviously an armament, which is the Darksaber. You've just talked about the Darksaber and the cunning that it gives you. Why is that so good then, Alice? What does that allow him to do?
Well, he's the big thing with Jedi's is when they don't get to go first, and you have that 50-50 roll off, and but he could die if I don't win the roll off. I could do something amazing if I win the roll off. But the Darksaber gives him cunning. There's only 2 other characters in the game with cunning, and that's Dooku, who's another lightsaber user, and he's only good because he has cunning. And Krennic, yeah, and Krennic. So cunning is, and I always say it every time I talk about Star Wars Legion, cunning is the best keyword in the entire game. Knowing that you're going first, guaranteed in this game is mental. So on a
Yeah.
Force user, on a very expensive Force user, it's almost an auto take. I've seen people play and win tournaments without it. the LSO didn't use a Darksaber. I won a tournament and I did use a Darksaber, so you can do both, but having these reassurance of cunning is very, very good.
Yeah, as you say, especially round one it's less important, but round sort of 2, 3, 4, when you probably are going to be engaged, and if your Maul is engaged with a Luke or a Yoda or a Pal, whoever it may be, you're absolutely right. It can be the difference, can't it, between being able to get your attacks off first can ultimately be the difference between winning and losing, especially when you've got a character that is, once you've added on all your force cards and any training and command and everything else, is going to be in most cases at least 25% of your entire point cost of your army. Yeah, being able to go first with them is pretty important. The Darksaber also gives, obviously makes him a commander as well, doesn't it? So you treat your rank as a commander. Now it works slightly different to like the covert ops thing, doesn't it? With Iden that we went through last week with Dan, you actually count them as a commander when you're building your list, don't you? So that takes up one of your commander slot. I think I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
Yeah, this takes up a commander slot with Maul. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So he does lose his double bladed lightsaber though, doesn't he? I believe because of that sidearm word for the melee and ranged. I gather they put the ranged in there just in case you're using the lightsaber thrower.
Loses it. Yeah. On a side note on it, 6 black average wise because it gives him surge to crit. 6 black against 4 white, 4 red is the exact same odds. So
Oh
it's
wow, okay,
it's a lower ceiling, but it's the same odds of hits without any
right.
modifiers.
Yeah, obviously lower ceiling because you can get very lucky with those white dice and manage to get a hit or a hit crit or a surge, but I suppose just as consistent. So I didn't realise that. So I'd always seen it as a little bit of a downgrade, but that's good to know. He does keep that impact 2 and Pierce 2, which is obviously never a bad thing, if you stop. Although it doesn't work against most Jedi, obviously with them having immune to pierce. But I've had more. I actually played against young Jacob a couple of weeks back, and my Maul did some serious damage to his rebels and just managed to shred through his trooper units like butter, which was very, very satisfying. Allies of convenience, then, Ellis. How important is that for Maul? Are you often using him as a commander who's issuing orders to other units as well? Does it not really come into play? Is it something that he really needs? What's your thoughts?
His cards you in this list, and we'll go into it. The only thing he ever really wants to order is maybe a capo or maybe a truck. So you're not really bothered about that because the way that the Shadow Collective is, the less orders, the better. Um, it's good, it's cool, and it also allows you to take the double bounty hunter because of how actual mercenaries work. Even though this is even though this is a battle force, you didn't take them all. You could only take one bounty hunter, and then you take them all, gets you another one, or you could take the upgrade on somebody else to get both bounty hunters, and it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. He's got it. It means you don't have to pay for it. It's probably already baked in his cost, so you are paying for it. Just not giving up a upgrade slot for it. Yeah, I always forget it's there, but it's there.
I suppose, yeah, if you do need to, your other commander gets killed or whatever else, then I suppose it's there at least, isn't it? Especially if you've already used Maul's cards and you do just need to issue it out so you can guarantee it or something. Let's talk then about his Juyo mastery. And you'll see why this works with the wound 1, but while you are wounded, you can perform 1 additional action during your activation, but you are limited to 2 move actions. Now, this doesn't let you make 2 attack actions, though, does it? You're still limited by that side of things. Do you see this? The way that I've played him is this, in a lot of cases, early game just helps me get up the board so much quicker to whoever it is I want to murder. And then once you're actually in position, being able to take an aim and a dodge, and then being able to make an attack is quite nice. How do you sort of see that being played, and how do you use that?
So I generally use it. So I'll talk about. I always take vigilance from Maul. He's got two cards that give him a dodge, and he can spend an action on the first turn, so get a dodge. But the way I would use the wound one is I always heal it on turn one, but I always go with Maul first. So what I'll do is move, dodge. So I've got the vigilance activated, and then I use my speeder truck to heal it, so he's back to full. And then at any point you want it back, you can play his card where he takes a wound if he's not being wounded by a shot or ult. And then that way, can't just get randomly caught out on turn one or two with a 5 health dice pool. That's how I played him every game I played him. He can suffer sometimes if you misdeploy him. Starts with a wound that triggers Hunter on Bosks, and anybody who's I say boss because you always take
You always
it on
take it on Bosk, yeah, absolutely.
It's just staple to him. But it triggers Hunter straight away on anything, and Maul is a he's the linchpin of like a list that I've run. As we build it out, you'll realize why. But his wound can be a bad thing at the start. Like I say, I like to heal mine very fast on the speeder truck, take the backward medic, and then you've got his card that can force him to wound. You could heal him and then take another wound next turn and just bing it. It's almost pointless, but it just saves him from ever being like hit really early, because he can be hit really early, and when he's only got 5 wounds, 1 wound is a big thing in this game, especially on a 200-ish point character.
So let's go into how we're actually building Maul out then. So you said that you are taking, I think you said Vigilance, didn't you, in the commander slot. Let's have a look at those 2 force slots then, Ellis. What's going into either of those 2 force slots, if indeed anything?
So because I've taken the Dark Saber, you don't really take Force Saber Throw, because 3 black dice with no ways to get past covers, and almost a pointless upgrade. You can obviously Force Push stuff out to take it, and Force Push is the first thing I take. It's the best upgrade in the entire game. For like Jedi's, Force Push is staple. Back years and years ago when the first game came out, there's a very funny thing in one of the Invader Leagues where I Force Push a Luke off the board, my Luke, a long time ago when you could do that. It soon got to change, but Force Push is a staple to a Jedi. So yeah, next upgrade is Force Push, and then the next one can be Reflexes, but because I've got Vigilance on him and I get an early dodge, he's got 2 dodge cards. I don't take it, and I do take Burst of Speed.
Okay.
Just for that jump, being speed 3 with jump 1, turning into Mandalorian for a turn. It's very good. It also throws off people's engagement. His speed 3 twice. That's very long. That's an 18-inch range. You can force pull somebody in after that, then attack them. Burst of speed is very good. When I ran this exact list at a tournament, I used burst of speed 1 out of my 3 games, because sometimes you don't need it. But when you do need it for 3 points, you're glad you brought it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, and I think especially as you say, because Saber Throw is 3 black dice, I think Burst of Speed feels a lot better. And that immobilized token, as obviously as we'll get onto, he does potentially have a card that means he can get rid of that as well, so it's less of an issue for him. So he's got 1 slot left, which is a training slot. Is anything going in there? I think I have a feeling that there may be one that goes in there that maybe gives him an extra die, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so in this list, and you'll see once we roll it out, there is no extra point. So he doesn't have an upgrade. Yeah, there isn't anything you can really drop other than the medic. But I really like that medic. He's so clutch on Maul when people think he's about to die, and you medic, and then which magic can gain 3 health out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes, normally there would be a tenacity here.
Well, that's obviously what I was thinking was tenacity, but yeah, interesting that it's not in there then. So that's one of your commander slots. Is there another commander going in there? I've got a sneaky feeling there may be.
Yeah, so there's 2 more commanders, because in Shadow Collective you allow one commander minimum, and then 1 to 4 commanders or operatives. So you could set one commander, 3 operatives, or 4 commanders. And there is two more commanders in there, and it's 2 naked Pike capos.
Okay.
These are purely in there to activation pad, because it's very hard to get around 10 activations. We've got Maul, obviously. We'll get into the troops. I've already mentioned the speed troop a couple of times, so I've let that one out of the bag already. But yeah, two naked Pike capos. Like I said, there is no points available to put anything anywhere. They're good because they gain the aim. They can give it to a Pike Syndicate unit. That's why the dodge. So the Pike Syndicates, the ones that are up front, can start the turn with 2 dodges. They're good activation card, and actually in like vaporators and recover the supplies, these are the guys that I run over and grab the supplies with. It's one model. It's very easy to hide, and they're great. They're also courage bubbles for my core stuff. So yeah, two naked Pike.
I think that 45 points. They're obviously comparative to an Imperial officer, a Rebel officer, a clone command. They sort of generic leader of your army, aren't they? But you say naked. I mean, there's so much text on their cards. There's no space left on the entire thing. And as you say, because they get that independent dodge 1, and then because they've got that aid where they can dish it out to a Pike Syndicate foot soldier, it just works really, really well. And danger sense, typically when I'm playing them, I do choose to keep almost always at least 1 suppression on them, sometimes 2 suppression on them, just so that they're getting that danger sense. Plus, then they're getting the cover from it as well. So yeah, and 3 black dice at range 1 to 3.
Yeah,
they're not.
Yeah, they're not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, they're not bad. What else is going in there then?
So in the troop slot, we have, and this is ×3, Black Sun Enforcers with the Magdet, with the Magdet, the Vigo, and fragmentation grenades.
Okay.
That's an 85-point unit. It's not as expensive as you think it would be. It's a 6-man red dice 85-point unit that has the biggest single attack pool at range 1 in the entire game.
It is crazy. That one black, 1 white is just absolutely crazy. And because they've got independent aim 1 combined with that precise 1 as well, they're just getting off so many rerolls as well, aren't they? And so many successes.
Yeah, and they go so well with Maul's 3-pip that sees what power we can. The place an aim and 3 surges on this card.
Yeah,
it goes so well with that card.
Yeah,
offensively and aggressively.
So Magdet Enforcer then, because obviously, if you look at most lists out there, and this isn't necessarily a competitive list, but most lists, the popular choice seems to be the Scattergun Enforcer. Obviously, it's twice the points, but it's the red dice, it's the range 1 to, it's the Scattergun that, I can't remember who it is that's got them, but, we've seen it before in the game. It's got Pierce and everything else on there. Obviously, Magdet, only range 1. It's 3 black dice. Blast, which is nice, and Impact. Why them over the other choice of the scatter there?
Well, have you seen how long a speeder truck's base is? The tech is the speeder truck, and can Magnets get out, Magnets get in, Magnets get out, Magnets get in, and you just use it as a tunnel. It's a 6-inch. If it wants to move and then get somebody out, it's a 15-inch tunnel that you can just throw these range 1 guys out. They are they're scary to vehicles, whereas the PS1 isn't scary to vehicles. These delete any vehicle. I had 1 roll up onto an ATST and just set 7 wounds off of it with an average roll. Any ATRTs that want to get in, the meta right now is a lot of spider droids, and these can get up to a spider droids. They don't care about being shot because the spider droid shots is not amazing, and just delete it.
Yeah. And I gather the synergy.
lounging for points.
Yeah, and I gather the synergy there as well as with the fragmentation grenades. When that's included in your attack pool, you then get in surge to crit on top of the impact that you get from the magnet as well. So just crits galore. So many hits getting through onto the armored units that.
You just have one guy throw a grenade, everybody else shoots their normal gun, and then one guy throws the magnet as well. So a lot of dice backed up by an aim, no matter what. Can be backed up by a second aim from sees what power. And if you're got their last turn and going first with them, which you can do very easily with Maul, with the cunning, then they can go again at range 1 and take another aim. Sometimes they can start off with 2. Most of the times they're either getting a shot with an aim, which is guaranteed, or a shot with 2 aims, which played right can happen a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So why the Vigo then over just another basic unit?
Yeah, so it could be the extra guy, and I could save some points there because he's like 2 points cheaper than the Vigo. No, it's 7 points.
No, it's 7 points. Yeah. So 21 points. Yeah.
But I have no Vigo, like no generic Vigo. You could swap a Capo out for a Vigo, then you'd have to drop an upgrade somewhere because you've only got 2 points to play with within this entire list. But the Vigos in every unit just give them the Courage 2 and then the Independent Surge on the defense. All the long range offense would be just going for a range 2 shots because although the magnet guys there, you can still just pump out 6 black, 6 white at range 2 with an aim and a surge.
Yeah, it's a lot of dice. It's a hell of a lot of dice. Times 3 as well. Let's not forget this. You're doing that 3 times potentially in a game. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, so far it looks like an Ellis list. That's all I'm going to say. What? And actually, let's not forget as well. I want to say this about the Black Sun Enforcers because I think it is slept on a little bit. Let's not forget there are red dice in close quarters combat, right? When they're in melee range. So you add all of those other things on there as well. The aim token, the precise, the surge one and everything else. They're no slouches when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Cool. What else are we getting in there then, Ellis?
So to round out the core, we have 2 Pike foot soldier units with the P13M disruptor.
Yep.
So that's 2 units with just that gun, and then 1 naked Pike soldiers. This is where the list you can drop those distributors and then put some fat on stuff, but not having some units, because obviously so far all I've said is Maul, 3 Black Sun Enforcers, pure aggro. This list is a Jedi's worst nightmare. You can't come forward and you can blink it from range. But just having 2 long range guns, at range 3, the Pike foot soldiers with a disruptor, it's a very tasty dice pool.
Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at there, it's 7 black and 1 red at range 3, I think, something like that.
Very good.
And it's also got the impact. Again, Pike, you look at it and you go, they're a white with a surge to block, and then you realise they've got danger sense 2. They've got outmaneuver, so they can use dodge tokens to cancel crit results. Like again, this new wave of like Syndicate Crimson stuff is like they're so good. There's so much tech in there. They seem, for me at least, they seem really really good for the points value that you pay for them.
They're the first like faction that's come out on release and gone straight into the meta and just been straight up there. Like probably arguably, besides Empire, which I think is the strongest faction at the moment, they're probably the second strongest faction, which no other faction has done that on release of their faction.
Need a little, 4 years of the game. Need a little. It's fine. Don't worry. They've got swoop bikes that just bring them back down to earth.
To be fair, if swoop bikes wasn't any good, this faction would be bonkers. So it's a good job swoop bikes are just holy shit, and then they nerfed them even more.
Yeah, when we found out the bases were different sizes, it was like, oh, they were bad before. They're even worse now.
The thing that made them any remotely good was a big base, and then there was like, nope, they're all small bases. Well, I'll put them in the bin.
Yeah. I'll be ordering a couple of packs. Just because
they'll eventually
they will.
change.
Yeah, they will get any rat. They will get a change. Just like I'm pretty sure at some point the cost of Black Sun Enforcers and Pike Syndicate foot soldiers are probably going up as well.
Yeah, the fact that that Black Sun Enforcer unit with all that is 85 points.
It's
you look
crazy,
at a unit of Mandos and you're like, oh, that's so sad.
Why would you put? And you know what? It makes me sad because I do love my Mandalorians as well, but it's so hard to justify taking them.
They pay for they're paying for their speed, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
Cool, so that's 6 core units in total. I am going to make an assumption here and say that we are ignoring operatives at this point. I don't think we've got much left to go into the operative side of things.
Yeah, so no operatives, but I will quick caveat that Bosk in Cyber Collective is a very good shot, just not in this kind of list. It's good in a very Pike-heavy list.
That's how I've been running mine at the moment. Is very much I have got no Black Suns in there, and it's a Pike heavy list with Bosk, and it's that ranged gun line and with that suppressive that he does, and he's got some absolutely fantastic command cards as well. But we're not here to talk about Bosk. So you've already mentioned it, speeder truck, AA5 speeder truck. I'm assuming not naked. I think you've already mentioned there that we're going to be taking the Backworld Medic, and then looking at that points total at 798, I'm assuming we are taking nothing else.
Nope. Backworld Medic and the Get in the Way bus. It is the mystery machine. So I like to run an aggressive list. You can see that already.
Yes.
I also like to run a balanced list. I don't like putting everything in one basket, hence the 2 units of Pike foot soldiers with range. And the Capos still range 3 as well, so it kicks out a bit of firepower. Not loads, not as much as a thingy, but the speeder truck makes this list. It allows the Black Sun Enforcers to come online, get the threat, because otherwise they're not a threat, and the mag deck's pointless. Like it's Sabs all over again. Pretty cool. They do a unique thing, but they're never going to do their unique thing, so why take them? But Speeder Truck puts this list online. It also the most obnoxious unit in the entire game.
So I was going to say, is it worth us just taking a few minutes, Ellis, just to go through the Speeder Truck? Because a lot of people, that watch these are maybe new to the game. There's obviously a lot of, vehicles are something we haven't covered on this channel before. There's obviously a lot of wording in there in terms of armor and hoverground, reposition, transport 1, but it's closed, not open, weak point 2, rear, all that sort of stuff. So, why is the Speeder Truck so good? And then we'll maybe cover off how you use them with your Black Sun.
Yeah, so if this Speeder Truck was a dinky tiny thing, like the what's it called? Not the air speeder, the other one, the land speeder.
The land speeder, yeah.
It wouldn't be as good because they're around about the same points. They both start pretty useless. But this truck is 6 inches long, 4 inches tall, no gap in between it. It's got full armor, so it doesn't just fall over. The hoverground allows it to move well and standby, which is a key thing. And I'll tell you that the standby is the most obnoxious part about this truck. The reposition allows you that even if you are less skilled at the game or don't understand how vehicles move properly, it allows you to move properly with it because it is big. Without that reposition, it's very hard to move. The transport close means that anybody inside is just safe unless it blows up. And the weak point rear is very, very minor because if they get into the back, like they've got behind you, which is where your Black Suns are. So
they probably don't want to be there, do they?
And they've got behind you and shot your truck. Like, okay, well done.
Ellis, just to confirm to everyone at home, this Speeder Truck it has no offensive capabilities, right? You've not put a hard point on there. It doesn't come like some of the some of the vehicles, they've got sort of a basic weapon on there. This is just a minibus for your troops, right? It's not doing anything else other than transporting them around, giving them some line of sight stuff, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no gun on it. You could swap stuff, but they were never even contemplated, never even thinking. I didn't realize you could take a gun on it until Shadow Collective even existed. Because when this first came out, I didn't even play this. When this first came out, I didn't play it because I'd stopped playing. It
Yeah.
came out in a time period where I wasn't playing the game. I took like a year break. Shadow Collective come out. I saw you can take a bus. Started putting a bus in, and then somebody ran a bus with a quad laser, and I was like, oh, you take guns.
And it is, for 36 points, I think it is now 36. No, actually 28. It's been reduced.
It's 28 now.
Yeah, so
36 is
6 black dice is pretty darn good with an impact too, right? It can kick out some damage, but you're right that those units of Black Suns are more important.
You can build this quad laser. You can build a quad laser speeder truck with the right upgrades to shoot stuff very, very well. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk then a little bit how you use it, how they interact with the Black Sun Enforcers, and maybe, if you don't mind, Ellis, just clarify to a couple of people, to people at home, how it actually works. How do units embark onto the truck and then disembark and that sort of thing? And I've maybe used the wrong terminology there, but how does that work, and how do you then use that to get your guys up the board and, as you say, into that range 2, range 1 where they want to be?
Yeah, so usually turn 1, I'll play a card where I can order Maul and the truck. That's all I care about. Because if I draw troops, I'll go with everything but the Black Suns, who are deployed in the truck. One unit in the truck at the start of the game. You can deploy a unit in at the start of the game. This is going to look awkward, but I always deploy it. Let's say the deployment zone's the line. I always deploy it sideways, and then when it repositions, it gains 3 inch. Which is very convenient.
Okay.
But measuring ranges sideways, and then you reposition, you gain like this much.
Yeah.
Well, not math. You gain like this much because you have to reposition from the center. But you know what I mean. You gain 2-ish inch. It's very proper gamey. But now you know it. You can do it. And then he always wants to go last-ish because they might have armor and a lot of wounds, but they are quite fragile. When impact starts hitting and it gets close, it always wants to be close. I always start Black Sun in it, drive it up. So I'll move once, 3-inch stick, 6-inch base, and a 9-inch move, plus your 2-inch you already got. So you're like 11 inches up. Most deployments you start around 18 inches to 20 inches apart. If they move forward, it's a closer thing. You can be ones where you're like 24 inches apart, but you just moved 11. They probably moved up 12, so you're in range 1 depending on what's happened. And then I go standby, which is so obnoxious that this can stand by. If it then standbys and moves, the guys that get out cannot do any more actions because that's how being embarked works. If the truck performs more than one of its maximum speed moves, after the guys get out, they have no more actions. So you just perform one move, go on standby, get the guys out at some point, and then move the truck away. Or what I do is move the truck back so my other guys can get in it the next turn. The way embarking and disembarking is if a unit embarks and disembarks, then a unit cannot embark on the same turn. It has to be a separate turn.
Yeah.
So it pulls back and then start loading up. And this, you can see how it works. Basically, this bus is going forward, backwards most of the time, or it's just staying in like a weird lane. Troops are getting in, troops are getting out. The next turn, you can never get in and out on the same turn. So that'd be so stupid if a Black Sun could get in and out. When a unit gets out, what happens is they place in-base contact with the truck, so you gain another inch. You move your speed, in this case speed 2, with the base is another 6 inches, and then you've got a 6 inch on top of that for your range 1 shots. The threat range is almost 25 inch, 26 inch with it all combined. You can get turn 1 shots if you line it up. And most games you're going to get a turn 1 shot. And because your truck's so far up, standby is probably going to trigger. And there's so many possibilities with the truck standby. There is moving, turning sideways to block all the shots. A lot of the times I move to a position where I'm going to place Maul and then put Maul behind the truck if there's no terrain. But yeah, getting in and out and measuring range. It's a range game with the truck, and because you're paying for it to do nothing but transport stuff, you've got to get those ranges right and the movement right.
So just so I understand it, because this is a new tactic for me, and I will be using it against you, or at least Jacob, next time I play him. So what we're saying is we start with one of those Black Suns in there. We move that speeder truck up its full move. We take a standby token, and then at some point, we disembark our guys. They get to do their move, their attack. But then when the speeder truck, the standby action triggers, we can then use that to move the truck back into place, and then just carry on that process of moving it up, moving it back, or as you say, repositioning it. Because I gather if it uses a standby, it can still do a free pivot, or does it not class as a standard move for the reposition?
No, a standby is a standard
move. Yeah. So they get the reposition as well. That is filth. Okay. No, that makes absolute sense to me. And that, I mean, look, it's a very, very interesting list. I've been looking to try and put together an 800 point list, and I have been kind of, I suppose, when I build in mine, I try and be more thematic. So I'm like, I'm putting either all Pikes or all Black Suns, and I think maybe the key to these guys is having a bit of a mix, and as you say, not putting all your eggs in one basket. Let's move on then, Ellis. And just to clarify to everyone at home, that is 798 points. So yeah, nothing left in there whatsoever.
Also, to start collecting, you can build this out of 2 core boxes. You have to play about with your third Vigo. You took 3, and you just, this guy's a Vigo. It's that kind of thing. You only get the 2, but you can build this entire thing, plus the truck, obviously, out of 2 boxes.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I'm running 4 boxes and 2 trucks at the moment, so yeah, I think it's good value. And that starter box was such good value for anyone looking to get into the game. And guys, remember, we are giving one away at the end of this video, so stick around until the end. Cool. We need to pick some command cards. We've obviously got 6 cards to choose from Maul, and then a whole bunch of generic ones, plus then we've got the generic mercenary ones, which are just so much better than the generic ones. But let's start with Maul. What cards are we taking for Maul?
So he's got cunning, right? He's the only character in the game that's got cunning and more than 3 cards. So automatically, these command cards are just amazing. They could all be blank, but because he's got cunning, it makes them better. Yeah. I do take all 6 of Maul's command cards.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
The reason being is I will probably always Phantom Menace in deployment step, even if I know full well I'm not going to infiltrate him anywhere closer. It's the mind games of it. And then the other 5. So let's start. I'll go down. So seize what power we can. Arguably, unreal card. It's a you're all clones for a turn basically, and I can generate more tokens.
Jacob couldn't believe it. He was like, "What's the range on it?" Though I'm like, "There is no range on it. Anyone from any part of the board can just dip into this cache of cards." So and as you say, it's a 3-pip, but for all intents and purposes, it's when you're up against it, it's a 2-pip, right? If you're coming up against their 3-pip card, firm favorite of mine there. What else is worth a mention?
So at last allows me to re-trigger the wound to get my Juro Mastery. When I do it, sometimes I don't heal him early on. Just depends on board state and if I want to play at last early or not. So that's a very good good one. Gives him a name as well. Brings him on more online. The Jedi Hunter's minuscule because he's got surge to grit, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't make much of a difference for him, does it? Yeah.
Which magic is every other Jedi had this card. He'd auto include it with every Jedi.
We're removing 2 wounds, and we mentioned about the immobilize thing on the burst of speed. This gets rid of the immobilize on there as well. It's such a good card, isn't it?
It's generally a turn 3 or 4 card. Once he's got stuck in, used his 2/1 pips, took a bit of damage, wants to heal back up. Combine that with the bust on a turn, you can heal 3 times. You can heal 3 wounds, recover himself. Yeah, it's very. If every Jedi could have this card, you'd auto include it.
Yeah.
In fact, most commanders would auto include it, not just Jedi.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I gather, and you mentioned it earlier, because of the way that independent works, obviously this new keyword that we've seen for the shadow of for all the mercenaries, you actually don't want to give them an order because you want them to get that dodge, or it's just dodging names, isn't it? In fact, no, it surges well with the Vigors as well. So yeah, and I like it. I didn't expect all 6. I thought you might have taken 4 or 5, but yeah. And then lastly, Ellis, let's have a look at your battle plans. So what 4 objectives are you taking?
So I've got breakthrough, intercept, recover, and hostage exchange.
Okay. And then for deployments?
I've got advanced positions, power lines, danger close, and hemmed in.
So this is the exact opposite of what I went through with Dan when he was running his Iden Versio. He wanted as big of a gap as possible. You want to be as close as possible and be able to get up there as quickly as possible as well. And then for conditions?
Yeah, so we've got clear conditions, limit visibility, supply drop, and rapid reinforcements.
Excellent. And what I'm going to ask you now is, what is your utopia? What 3, if you could pick the 3 that you would play every single game, obviously you wouldn't want to do it because it'd be boring as hell, but just to optimize this list, what are the 3 that you'd be looking at?
So it'd be hostage exchange, bar lines with limited visibility.
Okay.
Every game.
Excellent. And are there any cards that you're looking to avoid? Obviously, there's 4 of each left. What are the ones where if you see your opponent's got that, and because 7-9-8, you're not going to be winning bids. You might win a couple here and there, but it's people are probably going to be playing more for the blue player than what you have done here. But what are the ones that you look at and go, yeah, absolutely need to get rid of that one?
I generally like to write my list so that they don't have I can play that mission, I win. So there's no real bad ones. There's hard ones, and the hardest one is probably bombing run, because you're basically forced to give Maul one. So you can't be like, I'm going to infiltrate him and do all your shenanigans. And, so you're forced to give Maul one. You're forced to give your Black Suns the other 2. It's just how it is. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, like bombing run's the worst one. You can manage it. Best part about bombing run means they've got to come to you. You've got range 1 weapon, so that's why it's not as bad as it should be theoretically, because they've got to come towards you. So you're not bothered. And then deployment wise, long march is a pain, but you've got the truck. And if the cover's not well, you've got the truck.
Yeah.
So, and you don't really care about, okay, my first 2 turns, my Black Suns are going to be double moving. And then I'll engage turn 3 because no matter what mission it is, they're going to have to come forward. If it's saps on long march, you can really pressure a sap whilst just tapping yours and being like, try come past me on this middle zone to tap my VAP, or send R2D2, or try get a bounty, because I'll just put both my capos in the back corner and not care about them. So long march is a pain, but like I say, the list is designed to not really matter. Disarray is also I lose a capo turn 1, but they're going to lose the unit they put opposite. Because Maul's just going to go eat them.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I suppose with the bounty, because realistically, if somebody is taking a bounty hunter, they don't want to put it on Maul, right? You're running 2 capos, they're gonna pick one of them, and as you say, it's almost where you can just go, fine, whichever one you've put it on is gonna go stand in the corner, and you're gonna have to move up the entire board with your Bosk or your Bobber or whoever else it is to try and get to them, and probably get mowed down by either the Pike gun line or just Black Suns with a ridiculous number of dice. So yeah, no, it's a really spicy list, and I do like it a lot, Ellis. And you mentioned obviously you've had some success with it as well at a recent event that you were running that you won as well.
Yes, I ran an event at Elysium, and I didn't fill. This is the important part. Jacob was the filler. I entered the tournament pre-tournament and said to everybody on the day that I'm playing to play to win. Just don't. Might be my shot, but just accept that I'm here as just a gamer. Jacob's the TO unless I lose a game.
Yeah.
So I used this list with one difference. What was the difference? I forgot vigilance on Maul.
Oh no!
because I'd swapped out a capo for a Vigo, an actual Vigo. I had 1 Vigo, 1 capo, and I'm like, oh, the points don't add up. And that's the exact same. I just didn't have vigilance, and then
right,
like a game in, I was like, this is the wrong list, but I've submitted it and I've started now, so let's crack on. But so that's the only change in the list that I actually use. But yeah, I went 3-0 with it. I played a mixed bag. So round 1, round 1 was a very hard game. I played against Han Lando list, which is a lot of sharpshooter, Pierce, don't care about your Black Suns being in cover or having saves, so just going to take 2 off every turn with Han. And he did take 2 off every turn with Han, and Han, over 3 turns, killed 2 Black Sun and Force units dead to rights. Like, just pops out, shot them, pops back in every turn. I was like, just die from nothing. And then I had Cunning, but Han's got a 0 pip.
He's
got the only thing that needs Cunning. I was like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, played against that, then played against a droid army. Sons just eat droids. Like, just
those white defense dice are not going to do much against them, are they?
And Maul I lost Maul on turn 2 to his Maul, but killed so many droids so fast with Black Suns. It was so stupid. Just Black Suns against droid unit dead. Even like they had 2 units of phase 2s. Even those were just getting eaten by the Black Suns. You got impact. Oh, I just roll a lot of crits. You can probably get rid of one die.
Yeah.
You got armor 1. Sorry, I'll probably get rid of 1 dice or something like. They're just because armor 1 only gets rid of 1 hit. So if you roll stupid amounts of crits,
that's what your Black Suns are perfectly set up for, isn't it? Especially with those fragmentation grenade attacks that you can do.
I think in most games I lost 1, but yeah. And then the final game I played against Jeff Porritt, who's a very, very good player, top 8 in top 4 in Euros and stuff like that. They had a double ATST list, and 1 ATST died on turn 2, the first activation. And 1 ATST died on turn 3, the first activations.
Wow.
Like, Black Suns go dead. Black Suns go dead.
And do you know what the thing is? If they go and take out an ATST, even if they're left out in the open, you can't pull them back and they die, they've done their job, right? They're taking out a points value so much more than their own that it's a swing in your favour no matter what, isn't it, really? So
yeah, the unit in the truck last burst did an ATST. Because Cunning, so he can't do all by it. Last burst, dead.
Yeah. And how would you say, I spoke to Dan about this, where, there's different styles of play. You can play games where it's a very, sort of control orientated, where it's just about scoring those VPs and getting them out of the way, that sort of thing. You can have very attrition heavy, rosters or very attrition heavy lists. And, most lists kind of sit somewhere in the middle. It's never all or one or all of the other. But this, for me at least anyway, and I think you mentioned it earlier, it's very much on the attrition end of the list, isn't it? It's about getting as many dice out there as possible as you can and just thinning your opponent's units down so they just can't then score those VPs at the end of the game. I gather that's the game plan.
Yeah, he's good at that, very good at that. But funnily enough, it's very good at board denial because you don't want to come close to stuff. If you spread Black Suns around a Maul, like you can deny the middle of the board very, very well. Like, stuff doesn't want to come close to them, so it's very attrition-y, but played right and positioned right, you can just be like, my Black Suns probably aren't going to shoot till turn 5. You're not moving near this objective.
Yeah,
because if you do, they just pop out.
They're gonna, pop out and absolutely mow you down. Well, Ellis, thank you so much for taking the time to run through this roster with us. I'm sure, especially with how popular Shadow Collective are at the moment, they're the new toys. Everybody's looking at ways to be able to play them, and I think you've got a very, very strong list here. So I'm sure everybody at home will have some fun trying to replicate this. And I suppose, actually on a pretty good budget. What you're looking at, like £150, something like that, for the entire army, give or take, is pretty darn good. And if you are in the UK, guys, and I should probably give him a plug, seeing as he's here. But if you are in the UK and you are looking for any Star Wars Legion stuff, or indeed anything else that's out there, Marvel Crisis Protocol, Games Workshop, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, you'll find a link down in the description below to Elysian War Games. They've always got the best online prices, plus clubs that you can join that reduce those prices down even further as well. Ellis, where can everybody find you on the social side of things?
Yeah, so I do, like I said at the start, I've got the Elysian War Games YouTube channel. You'll either find me ranting, playing a game, or telling you about a list. And then I'm on Twitter at Ellis briefly, but I rarely type stuff other than to troll people. So you can follow me if you like to see people like annoy people.
Excellent. Well, Ellis, again, thank you very, very much for joining me. This was a really fun one to do, and I'm definitely going to be stealing some of those. And as much as it pains me to do, I think the Mandos that are in my list at the moment are probably going to have to be dropped for some Black Sun Enforcers because, they just don't stand up on a points cost. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you later on.
Yeah, bye.
Well, a big thanks to Ellis once again for joining me for our second episode of Scum and Villainy. And I hope you guys really enjoyed that. And some really good insights there onto how we can use that speeder truck with Maul and with those Black Suns. I think it's a very, very competitive list, and one that hopefully you guys will enjoy playing and maybe even tweaking up yourselves as well. So let me know down in the comment section below what you think of that. Guys, let's jump over to our wheel and let's find a winner of our Shadow Collective starter box. This is from the Operation Deep Jungle. I think I've got everyone's names on here who has entered. Okay, so let's spin that wheel and see who is going to win that Shadow Collective starter set. And it is going to be Jacob Shell. So Jacob Shell, congratulations. Message me on either the about page of our channel, you can find my email address there, or just drop me a DM on Discord or wherever it is, and wherever you are in the world, we will get this Shadow Collective starter set over to you. Now guys, don't worry if you weren't a winner. We do have some other Star Wars Legion giveaways happening at the moment. We've got the dynamic exit set behind us there that you can see. And actually, courtesy of Elysian War Games and Ellis and James, we do have the Star Wars Legion core box. This is the Rebels versus Imperials core box that we are giving away. And this is actually one that's tied in to the Scum and Villainy show that we are doing. So to give me the chance to win this, what I'll be doing is probably once we get to episode 12 or something like that, we'll draw a winner. That's going to be in, sort of a few months' time. I will pick a random video, and then I will pick a random comment from one of those random videos. So to be with the best chance possible, you need to like every single one of our videos, and you need to leave a comment on each one of those videos as well. But yeah, there we go, guys. That is it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.